Welcome to Jim's Movin' Picture Show. From Jaws to The Godfather, from So I Married an Axe Murderer to Schindler's List. It's a movie show that's almost as all over the place as its host.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Jim's Movin' Picture Show. And you know, when we talk about filmmakers, we talk about directors, writers, and actors, but the most influential filmmaker in the last 40 years of film is the composer John Williams. In many ways, that is the soundtrack of my childhood. And this is gonna be a fun list because I'm bound to be different than everybody else, at least in order. And I know more than you, so I'm okay with that. Now, on to the list. Coming in at number 10 is his score for Empire of the Sun. First of all, it's Christian Bale at like 9 years old, so kind of weird that he'll later become Batman. But it's Steven Spielberg's film, a name you'll hear a bunch of this list, about a young British kid stuck behind enemy lines in Japan after the war starts. And John Williams really does a great job of creating a broad score that drives home the emotion, the terror, and the fear of that situation. Next up, everybody's favorite Christmas movie, except it's not even in my top 10, but it's fine. No, I love the movie Home Alone. But what I kind of like is that John Williams created this score while also throughout the score including actual Christmas carols in it to still drive home the energy of the film while also reminding us all that it's a Christmas movie. Okay, I'll be honest with you guys. The next movie, I hated it when I was a kid, and I hate it now. And that is the movie E.T. Now, there's a bunch of you that are like, pearl clutching. It's very simple, and I think I have a logical reason for hating it. I wanted to go see Return of the Jedi for the third time, and my parents made us go see E.T. And so because I didn't get to see green lightsabers, I was mad at the little alien for the rest of my life and still am, and it will go to my grave. But you cannot deny how inspirational, how magical John Williams' score is, particularly in the scene when the bicycle is flying across the moon, which would later become Spielberg's logo for one of his production companies. Who'd have thunk it?
Don't crash, please.
The score for Jurassic Park, John Williams and Spielberg had, I think, one mission, and that was to create a sense of wonder and a sense of awe on what it would be like to roll up and have dinosaurs walking the earth. And yes, to quote Jeff Goldblum,
oh yeah, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
you still can't help but feel the magic of seeing a dinosaur, particularly in the opening scene when the two doctors first get to see the brontosaurus.
Alan, this species of variformin's been extinct since the Cretaceous period. I mean, this thing is among this thing. What?
It's a dinosaur. You did it. You crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
Now, next up is the score for Schindler's List. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, even though I really only can watch it about 4 or 5 times, or every 4 or 5 years. It's not easy. It's a very, very sad, depressing movie that you would expect out of the Holocaust. The score, however, is very interesting from a John Williams perspective because it isn't, for the most part, a full orchestra. A lot of it just sounds like the music's very Yiddish, very Jewish. You've got the sort of the fiddler, the fiddle or the violin going, and it creates a really stark atmosphere for what is a very stark and dramatic and sad movie. Now, the score for Harry Potter, in many ways, and when we get to Harry Potter, I'm talking about all 8 movies, right? So, and that'll be that way for every other franchise going forward, because now we're kind of into some franchises. But I think his job in Harry Potter was in many ways the most effective job that he's done, because he had the bigger task. He had to compose a score for Harry Potter while the property was still very hot. It was very much in the public eye. So people saw the name Harry Potter and they saw the name John Williams and they expected something great. Now, y'all are thinking, like, well, he did Star Wars and he did Superman. Well, Star Wars was nothing before he did it. And Superman was a long forgotten comic book character that people didn't expect anything out of the movies. When Harry Potter comes out, those expectations are as high as any, and you did a great job meeting them. Jaws, my favorite movie of all time. I didn't know where to put it, but I'm not going to put it up in front of some of the others that are left, in part because he only did the score for the first movie and the other 3 movies pretty much suck. So, not his fault, but that's the reality. But what he does in Jaws is something that, as a filmmaker, I'm very, very particular on. And that is, he uses the score to mix the tone of the film, that both the horror side of the movie and the adventure side of the movie are able to coexist and make sense. And that goes from using the very famous shark theme to then moving into what sounds like a pirate movie from the 40s. And he does this so well that when they start to intercut them at the end of the movie, it absolutely makes perfect narrative sense that it works.
All right, come on. Show me the tank. Show me the tank. Blow up! Blow up! Smile, you son of a...
Now, Star Wars is probably going to be on most people's list, and I'm giving him credit for all 9 of the Star Wars films that he did the score for. I think his best individual piece was the Imperial March, Vader's theme, but for many filmgoers, there's no more iconic piece of music than the opening theme for every Star Wars movie. Every Skywalker saga. They're making it complicated to keep up with this stuff. But definitely, you can't argue with any of his work. Leia's theme, the Force theme, I mean, so much of it is fantastic. And it probably has you thinking, what could possibly be number 1? But before we get to number one, we're going to go to number two, and that is Indiana Jones. And it gets credit for, even though the last two movies were terrible, the score still worked. There's something about the Indiana Jones theme that when that bump, bump starts, I want to roll down the car window, climb out of the car, have someone driving next to me take over the steering wheel, and I want to jump on something. And if that doesn't get you fired up, then I'm not sure what the purpose of a movie score really is. And number one, with a bullet, although the bullet wouldn't work, it would just deflect right off of him, and that is his theme for Superman the movie. I understand that that's going to be unpopular with a lot of people, but I feel like, unlike Harry Potter, yes, it was a pre-existing character, but he had to breathe new life into it, and he had to make sure that the character worked in case the special effects that they had pioneered for the film didn't. And when you listen to that main part of the dun dun dun, it's like the orchestra sang Superman. It feels heroic, and it becomes the model for just about every single superhero score going forward. You don't get the score to the Avengers without having John Williams having done Superman. So that is my number one. And we are excited to continue this edition of Jim's Moving Picture Show with a fun new segment. And Rebekah Louisa Smith of the Film Festival Doctor, you get to be the first one. We're going to be talking about independent film, independent content creation. Thanks so much for jumping on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I'm so excited.
In fact, this episode is about the music of John Williams. Just real quick, what was your go-to John Williams score?
Oh my God.
You didn't know you'd be on the spot, did you?
It's like, wow. Like, where do I start? Honestly, I can't think of what out of my head which one it would be. Give me some, which ones are your favorites?
Well, I do have 3 Superman figures behind me. That's definitely probably a good one.
Yes, Superman, of course. Well, that's a classic. So I'm going to go with that one. And those are really cool. Those are really cool behind you as well. I love those.
Thank you. Yeah, we're a little all over the place here in our little world here. Talk to me about the show. One of the things I love about it is it's rare, I think, to see somebody that's creating independent content that's really, truly has a very altruistic purpose. And that is absolutely what you're trying to do, because as a film festival programmer and also having it's an impossible world to navigate. So tell me a little bit about the Film Festival Doctor, the who, what, when, where, and why you decided to get it going.
So it's about the podcast or about the business?
Let's talk about the business first and then the podcast.
Okay, perfect. So I began my career co-producing a horror film festival in the UK when I used to live there, called the Abattoir Horror Festival in Wales. And I loved producing the festival. It was so much fun. And I spoke with filmmakers and I asked them what they liked and disliked about film festivals. And they all said the same thing. We love festivals, but the issue we have is we don't know how to get our films into festivals. There's no such thing as a strategist. We're just hoping for the best and seeing what happens. I was like, well, that's not a good strategy. I did my research. That's just like throwing spaghetti at the wall. So I did my research, and then I realized there's only 1 or 2 people trying to do it. It was a very under the radar, very low key. No one had ever heard of it before. And I thought, right, there's something here to develop, and I really want to help people get their films into more festivals, because there's so much the festivals can offer people. Because I loved going on the festival circuit with other films. I love going to festivals to scout the films for the festival. It was just like an oasis. There was so much abundance and opportunity. And that's how it began. So there was a big gap, a massive gap in the market. This is back in 2010 when I noticed this. Then set the company up was very hard at first because no one really knew what this was. People said, are you a sales agent? I said, definitely not a sales agent. I'm not selling films. I'm helping people get their films into film festivals. I'm a film festival strategist. And they said, why do you call yourself a film festival doctor? And I said, because actually I'm a doctor, I have a PhD in film, but also that's what I'm doing. I'm helping people get their films into film festivals. So it's the best name I thought I could come up with. And then it kind of grew and grew because people realized that it became more overwhelming for filmmakers to navigate the festival circuit with so much complexities and nuances. And I had the advantage of knowing that through programming and through knowing what festivals want and what the patterns are, what the trends are. And like every day is a different day in the festival world. I'm always keeping on top of trends, always keeping on top of what the new movements are, always got the eye on the prize to help our clients get into more and more festivals and get huge success, which they've had right up until where we are now.
What are some of the biggest, I don't want to use the word mistake because I don't think that's accurate, maybe misstep that some filmmakers, film submitters might make when it comes to any given festival?
Well, one thing is being too general and not being specific. So a big thing I always find is that a lot of people I work with can actually have began doing festival submissions but not getting the results, and I'm wondering why. And the main problem seems to be that they're submitting to too many general festivals, that screen quite a lot of, types of films, but not a huge amount.
Right.
So, for example, when you've got a certain film, say like at CineQuest, that's a great festival, and they have VR, they have shorts, features, documentary, they have lots of different strands. But then there's a lot of short film submissions that they receive, and they're not a short film focused festival. When you've got a very specific type of short, you've got to know where to put it on the circuit and also who your audience is. I think the biggest thing in that as well, what comes out of that, is a lot of filmmakers aren't quite sure who are the audiences at that festival and if there's an audience for their film at that festival. And that causes confusion and stress, and is my film not good enough? It's about being more and more specific as you can be, and to be very precise and know exactly who your audience is and which festivals can accommodate.
I think that's the best advice you can offer someone, because just like every I'm one of my best friends runs Nightmares Film Festival in Columbus, Ohio, and he always talks about our festival has a brand position and we can't accept films that don't fit that brand position because that's what we've communicated to the audience. It does seem like you can't just shotgun blast it, right? You kind of have to be more specific.
You do, and it's more and more nowadays to be really specific. When I first started doing this in 2010, there was around 400 festivals. People were like, "Oh my God, that's so many!" But there's now like 8,000.
Yeah,
and not all of those are worth submitting to, and a lot of them are. But you have to really know to carve out where the film fits. A lot of new filmmakers will say, "Right, want to do Sundance, Cannes, Berlin, maybe Venice." But so, well, hang on, have you got a film for these particular types of audiences? Because one thing, Venice shows 15 short films, and they tend to be very specific type of audience for their short film market. It's not going to be a romantic comedy or like a slapstick film. It's going to be quite heavy social issues, quite a deep kind of complex drama. You've got to really know that. And that's the mistake. People think, right, I want to do Rebekah Sundance, Cannes, all these. So, well, hang on, it's where you have to remember is these festivals are very specific audiences and to certain types of films that these audiences will, want to come and see and sell out theaters. It's about making money for the theaters, and also, it's a business model. So it's not just all about the fun. So I think nowadays, for example, when you have, let's say, a genre short film, you have to peel out many layers. So let's say it's a decent, pretty good short film about, a zombie horror. Doesn't do anything groundbreaking or new, but is really well written, really well paced, really well edited, really good acting, and great sound, a really good sound design, good jump scares. So that is going to be the type of film, let's say, that could do really well in all of the key, distinctive and high-end genre film festivals, Fantastic Fest maybe Sitges, all these ones, and also really good reputable festivals that screen genre films. But can it break out of the genre circuit? Is there an audience for it at these more general mainstream festivals? The way it's going, no, because there's nothing new or different. It's just a really solid film for that audience that will love that type of film.
Yeah.
So you have to really unpack the film and really like look at it and strip it out in different layers. That's what I do when I'm reviewing a film, is to like look at it several times and think, right, it's going to be a harder sell here, but more of an easier sell in this type of market.
So where did the idea then to take this expertise and then transfer it into a show? I mean, a podcast where, I mean, you're essentially giving away some of your advice for free. Like, what was that motivation?
So I began the podcast as a little like a trial in 2019, and I love doing it because I love talking to festival programmers and really exploring what they want and how they program and create their festival. And there's always been, every client said to me, I'm just so confused what festivals want. And I always say, every festival is different. You have to really look at each one and look at how they program and create their festival. And you can do that by researching their website and Instagram and looking at, what types of films they program and who's won previously. But then they were like, well, that's a lot of time. And then podcasts began to get really popular, like during after 2020, because my podcast stopped just before the pandemic 2020, because the company I was working with in the UK went into administration. But then I noticed there was suddenly like live podcast shows and everyone was having a podcast and it was like a business. Now it's like booming. Sure. And I was thinking, right, you know what? I'm going to get on my podcast. I'm going to bring the podcast back. I'm going to really really beef it up and have some great guests on who'll be open to talking about how they program, and it will help each person listening to it understand what that particular festival wants and what their programming practices are.
I think, again, in an industry that's often so me, I think doing anything altruistic is it's just something that should be celebrated. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I just feel like I think a lot of times indie filmmakers, and sometimes I think it even extends to festival programmers, we're not supposed to be in competition with people, but some people really want to make it a competition.
That's true. It really is about celebration. That's the bottom line. Celebration, even if it's a first, look, a world premiere or a Texas premiere, it's all about celebrating that film, that filmmaker, and giving them a platform to show their work, and sometimes be quite vulnerable, to like actually see it on the screen and then talk about it. It's quite a process, quite a healing process, and you're there to support. And it's like, I see it as like a partnership. So when you get into a festival, being accommodating and the filmmaker really getting you what you want, and then helping you maybe sell tickets and promoting it, doing that kind of work together, it becomes a very harmonious, kind of strong, like a marriage. And then that gets great results. And it's just all about, celebration, not competing with each other, as you're saying. It's just it's all about the filmmaker. It's all about them and their work.
Completely agree. I think everybody needs to, particularly if you're watching this show and you're an independent film, needs to absolutely be not just listening to the show, but hitting you up, because it is the Wild West out there. And it can, like you were talking about 8,000 festivals. I just looked as we're sitting here talking. Film Freeway currently lists 12,302 festivals, and not all. And look, I think let's close on this. I think a lot of filmmakers that don't get into a festival immediately jump to that festival is a scam. Yeah. I do think there are a lot of scams out there, but there are also a lot of festivals that are trying to do the right thing. It's just they need someone like you to help navigate that wilderness.
Exactly. And a big thing as well is knowing what the filmmaker wants. Goal setting is very important. What do you want? What don't you want? And that helps me understand what kind of festivals will be able to help them achieve their goals and get what they want from the circuit. You're going to be traveling around the whole of the US, get costly. You've got to go to festivals that can help you achieve what you want to achieve. Some goals can be very specific. Some goals can be very I just want to get it seen. I want to the next one, but I do want it to be seen, and I want to maybe meet people for the next film. But my goals aren't particularly maybe as specific as other people can be. Everyone's different. There's always a festival to accommodate every single goal. There really is. There's say like with Texas filmmakers, there's loads of great festivals in Texas. You want to get it seen locally. You've got a lot of great ones to choose from all over Texas. And the ones that are the most popular, the ones you'll probably hear a lot about, so they're hard to get into. But then it's a case of really researching, is this a fit for this festival? Because even though it's in Texas, might not mean it's going to be the right fit for your film. You've got to really think about who the audience is. That's the bottom line.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebekah, for being with us. Rebekah Louisa Smith of the Film Festival Doctor herself. Make sure you are following her. We're going to put the link to all of your stuff in the description of this episode. Thanks very much for being on Jim's Moving Picture Show.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
All right, everybody, that does wrap us up. We are back next week with another edition of Jim's Moving Picture Show. What are your favorite John Williams scores? And tell me why I'm wrong. I always love that. So until next time, I'm Jim Christopher. We'll see y'all at the movies.